everyone. The question, I'm really going to ask you to be honest with me this morning, please. If you've looked in the mirror this morning, if you've looked in the mirror at your reflection, possibly even in a car window reflection or a shop window reflection, just pop your hand in the air for me if you've done that today. Looked in the mirror, just have a quick look over your shoulder at everyone else. I don't want to embarrass anyone who hasn't got the hand up, by the way, but that just goes to show us that most people had their hands up there. It just goes to show us, doesn't it, that appearance is important. The way that we get ready on a morning, the way that we check that, we've not got toothpaste on our chin or Weetabix in our teeth or whatever. That's because appearance, to some level, is important to us. It definitely is. What I want to talk to you today about is being beautiful, how to be beautiful every day. And it's all part of being beautiful, isn't it? Appearance, and it maybe shapes our definition of beauty. But I want to just bear with me a second, because I don't want to presume that you all desire to be beautiful, or that you even feel like you've got any identification with the word beautiful. Some might think, well, it's a really feminine word, and I don't really want to be identified as beautiful. So for the purpose of this morning, what I would like you to do, please, for me is consider beautiful to almost be an umbrella word that might include being attractive or being handsome, any kind of word like that, as we go through the talk this morning. Appearance is important, but appearance isn't everything. A couple of years ago, an all-party parliamentary group released some findings on body image. And some of the stats that they found were around, I think it was 60% of adults that they felt some kind of shame about their bodies. And also that 70% of women and 40% of men said that they felt pressure to look a certain way because of some of the images that we see on TV and magazines, etc. And what that shows us, whilst those stats aren't great, and it shows us that, body image is something that impacts a lot of people, what I really want to draw your attention to is the fact that there are adults in those stats that, unfortunately, we don't, even though the birthday cards suggest otherwise, we don't just wake up feeling fab at 40. There is some work to do to make sure that we feel confident about ourselves as adults as well. So I want to just sort of pose to you the point that body image is something, it's relevant to us all, whether it's a positive body image or a negative body image. It's something that impacts us all because we all do have a body. It's not just something that's relevant to children and young people growing up. The other thing that it said in the report was that we currently live in an appearance-saturated society. And you may well know that already just by walking along and seeing all of the images that we see. But that's something that contributes to our perception of beauty and our ongoing battle with body image. My daughter loves athletics. She loves running. She's only 10, so we thought it would be a great opportunity to take her along to an athletics club whilst she is quite young and can get involved in a club in that way. So I went along the other week and was watching her in the stadium. She was on one side doing her running with her group of people. And what caught my eye was a group of young women who were training just in front of me. And they were doing some sprinting. And whilst they were coming out of the blocks, they were doing the 100 metres, stopping the clock at the end, feeling quite happy with that, walking round and starting again. And I could see straight away that it was something that they were working really hard at. They hadn't just picked it up that day. Their bodies suggested that they'd been training really hard for quite a while. They had a muscle definition that you don't just wake up with. They've been working really hard for that. So whilst they were doing their training, there was lots of other things going on in the stadium, different groups, male, female, young, old, arriving. So they were really focused on their heat that they were doing their training for their event. And there was a group of guys arrived, and they were about to start their warm-up around the track. So they were giving way to the young women to come down the track. I guess there would have been a collision if they didn't, so they just hesitated. Girls ran by, got to the end, checked the watches, started walking back. The guys were still giving way. Now, what I witnessed then was potentially a great opportunity for them to say, well done, that was great. But what they did do, they didn't do that bit, what they did do was they just kind of, their eyes just sort of followed the girls, not just in their direction, but firmly in the direction of the backsides, okay, which is, that's okay. But straight away what happened was those young women who had been working really hard, they were valued mostly for being an object, just in that instance straight away. And it's important that we remember that physical beauty is part of what shapes our beauty. It's what shapes our definition of beauty. And it dates back hundreds of thousands of years, doesn't it? I'm not trying to suggest that it's not okay to be physically attracted to people. It's absolutely normal. However, what I want to consider is that whilst we live in this appearance-saturated society at the moment, Western society especially is putting a lot of attention on that. We're putting almost a disproportionate amount of attention on our appearance and not on the rest of us, not on the other characteristics that make us who we are. Is that okay? Okay, right. We're going to move on now. What I want you to consider is what body image actually is. I'm going to explain it in two things. Body image, first of all, it's how I feel about my body, so what I think about my body, but also what I think you think about my body. Okay? So I feel fine about my body, and if I feel okay, then that's great. But actually, I also need to consider what I think about my body. It's a bit confusing, but what I want you to just imagine is that you've got a responsibility as well. So you've got a responsibility, even if you feel fine about your body, that you can influence my body image. Okay? So whilst we just think about body image a little bit more and beauty, we are inundated with images. I've said already that it's an appearance-saturated society at the moment. Even getting here today, we'll have seen so many images on the buses, in the magazines, adverts, and also on social media. For those of us that have got phones, might be on social media having a little look at the images on there, and some of them are just of ourselves. Did you know that there's over 1 million selfies a day that are uploaded? 1 million selfies a day. And it's actually, let me just, if you don't mind, if I can just put it on that way. Oh, yeah, there you are. Right, okay. Big smile, everyone. Jeez. Okay. And if I was just to upload this to social media now, it might take me an extra minute. On average, it takes between 12 and 14 minutes to upload a selfie. Now, that's not because people can't use the phones all of a sudden. That's because we're taking maybe 10, 20 pictures of the same image, just making sure that I've got one change. And then we go on and maybe edit it a little bit, add a filter here, add a filter there. We've now got some editing apps that we can actually take bits out and add bits in, because we all want to look as good as some of the images that we see in the magazines, and we all want to look as fab as the images that we might see in pop music or videos, wherever they are. Many of these images have been edited, and now we can edit our own. Amazing, it's so good. Except continuing to buy in to this standard of beauty. It's not very real, and it's quite difficult to reach because it's not real. So what we find ourselves doing is saying, well, actually, if I was beautiful like that, my life's just going to be what I need it to be. If I was beautiful like that, I'd be loved. If I was beautiful like that, I'd feel validated. If I was beautiful like that, I'd feel valued. If I was beautiful like that, I'd feel loved. If I was beautiful like that, I'd be successful. I'd be rich. And we continue to find ourselves on a relentless cycle, a relentless battle to try and obtain this standard of beauty that's, not real, and it's going to be a struggle to get there. A lot of the work we do through my charity that I work for, we do body image roadshows. And I recently went to a school not too far away, a few miles from where you're sitting, and we did a body image roadshow, and we surveyed some of the students. We had two groups of students, some that were aged 11 through to 13, through to 18. And what we wanted to do was find out what their perceptions were about self-image and appearance. So we asked them, how important is appearance to you? Does your appearance impact your mood? 80% of them said, yes, it does. It impacts my mood. And double the amount of older students said that actually happens on a daily basis. So my mood is always impacted by the way that I look and the way that I think I look. We also asked them what their chances of joining in with physical activity would be based upon their body image. And 2/3 of the group said, actually, depending on how I feel on a certain day, they would either not participate in physical activity or they would participate participate. So 2/3 said, basically, my body image influences my decision to join in with PE. Which, it's really sad, isn't it, to think that that's something that's going to make them quite healthy. But then, reassuringly, there was 66% of them said, actually, when it comes down to it, my health is more important than my appearance. But then on the flip side, that's almost 4 out of 10 young people who are saying, nah, my appearance is way more important to me than my health. And those 4 young people are potentially going to take more risks. Some of their behaviour might be more risky, because what matters to them most is what they look like. So they're striving for this standard of beauty that's been set, but that they can't really reach unless they put themselves in a really vulnerable situation. Some of the conversations that we've had with children as young as like 11 and 12 suggest that they think it's quite normal to reach the age of 18 and go and get a procedure here and a procedure there. Something's informed them that, well, yeah, that would be normal to do. I'll go and get my lips enhanced or a bit of Botox. They think it's a completely normal thing to do, and they would sacrifice some of their own health to do that. Some of the lads that we spoke to as well would be prepared to do the same, or feel that it's expected of the girls to do that. So it just goes on to show that these images and this appearance-saturated society that we're in is having an impact on our body image. The way that we judge people, so the guys at the athletics track was an example of the way that we can judge people instantly on what they look like. We all do, don't we? It's quite normal for us to have a quick judgment about what someone looks like. You may well have judged me today, standing here for the last few minutes, on what I look like. I was going to ask for a show of hands on that, but I decided against that this morning because I didn't really want to go there. But we all do it. It's quite a normal thing. Physical beauty is, it's part of defining our beauty, and judging each other is normal as well. However, my challenge to you today is simple, really. It's to think about how you can take ownership over improving body image and improving someone else's self of beauty and their perception of beauty. If we don't go on to do something about this, what's going to happen is, as we continue to judge people in an appearance-driven world that we live in, beautiful is never going to be beautiful enough. We're not going to reach that state where people are going to feel happy and content with who they are, and that they're going to feel, actually, yeah, I feel beautiful. Because actually, there's going to be another step on, isn't there? There's going to be another expectation that we're struggling to reach, because we're putting so much focus on appearance and leaving everything else behind. So there's 3 little things that I'm going to ask you to do, okay? What I want you to do is remind yourselves, when you find yourselves in a situation where you're maybe judging someone based upon what they look like, which is quite normal, but what I want you to do is almost catch yourself doing that and say, actually, there's something else about that person that I don't know about, and it might be that, I should have a little look into what that might be. Those guys, they might not have known those girls, and they might not have then said, oh, well, that was good, well done, good running, but yet they felt it was okay to objectify them and look at the bum instead. So I just want us to sort of think, well, actually, what can we do to participate in redefining beauty a little bit? So when you catch yourself saying that about someone, or a stranger passing by, or someone that we know, maybe even a celebrity on the TV, and passing judgment about what they look like, instead try and find something about their personality, their humour, their ability to do something really good, their kindness, their patience, their strength. There's so much that we're missing out on when we're placing all of our value on appearance. And then actually what I want you to do is celebrate that, because that's really important for us to realise that we're doing something, set a new routine, and then to celebrate that and say, well, actually, I've done something, I've been part of, a small part of, but a small part can be, a big impact of redefining beauty, and of saying, well, actually, beauty isn't all about what we see. Beauty goes much deeper than that, and it includes everything else about a person. And also what that means is you're allowing our children and our young people to grow up in an environment, in a society where it's not just all image-based. Social media isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but what we can do is manage that in a different way. We can not be so image-driven when we're on there. We can not take 12 to 14 minutes to post a selfie because we've changed it so much to try and live up to this expectation and this standard of beauty. So how to be beautiful every day? It's over to you, really, isn't it? I've given you some examples of how we can do that, and just by taking that pressure off appearance and allowing people to be more confident in who they are, by not feeling like, actually, I'm going to be judged upon what my skin looks like today, my hair colour, the size of my waist, all of those things, by allowing people to be who they are, and even allowing them to be more confident and therefore possibly even carry themselves in a different way, take care of themselves in a different way, just being themselves in a more confident way, that's going to go a long way to us all being more beautiful every day. Thank you.